Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, former installation contractor and boutique store owner. Joining me this week is Resti of Crest Tile and Mosaic near Rochester, New York. And, journeyman tile setter. Hasn't always been in. He had a journey through some other stuff in order to get to where he's at. Family man, hiking, and in his free time, spending time. Not everything always has to be about business and tile or floors or anything like that. We need other hobbies as well, which is great. And this week we're going to be talking about how to target a different demographic than where you may be right now. How do we find that higher end clientele? How do we go and acquire clients that will want better materials, better quality? They will be willing to pay to have custom inlays and medallions and those types of things put in their projects, as opposed to the 99-cent, maybe $1.99 special from the local supply shop or the local box store of whatever they can get in a 3x16 subway, 12x24 tile, 7x48 luxury vinyl plank, whatever it is. So we're going to be looking at how can we kind of manipulate business models, change them in order to start attracting a clientele that we would prefer to work with over, ho-hum. Every day's the same thing. It's never, it's exciting. It's fun. We still get to be artists, but there's definitely ways to be an artist on a different level when you get to play with some different materials and start doing some really special things. So that's what we're going to get into. Before I have Chris introduce himself, we've got a quick word from tiletools.com. Attention flooring professionals, elevate your craftsmanship with the finest tools and supplies from tiletools.com. From spacers to saws, we have everything you need for flawless tile installations. Plus, we offer top-notch customer service and fast shipping. As a special offer for Floor Academy listeners, you can use code FA10 at checkout to receive an additional 10% off your order. Don't settle for less. Visit tiletools.com today and experience the difference in quality and service that professionals trust. All right, Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. This is how many people I meet, and I feel horrible. Chris and I got on the phone. He was like, we met at the Mind Your Business class in Dallas, and I was like, we did? I'm sorry, man. And I truly am. Like, it's so many people all over the place. I'm glad, we've talked before, and I think this conversation is going to be great. Super excited to have it. And that lands on me, and that shows how much of an a-hole I am sometimes, that, you can't remember them all, and it's hard. So yeah, I think we probably have all had it happen with clients too. You get a call back and they're like, hey, you remember? No, I don't. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? And I want to hear a little bit about this entertainment thing. Like, what was that? Was that an actor? Was that on the production side? But go ahead and jump into it and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm a longtime listener, first time caller, and I'm just glad to share whatever is going to happen today. So I'm a upstate New Yorker. I was born in New York, and I moved upstate when I was just a wee lad. And but I went to school to be a teacher, and then one thing led to another, and all those things. But as far as entertainment goes, Kyle, I worked for Live Nation. As
Okay.
it's the biggest concert promoter in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at a concert venue, and I did pretty much everything, like ticketing and stagehands and guest
Okay.
service, and box office, and all that kind of stuff. And kind of a part-time summer job, but teaching didn't work out. I couldn't get a job, and I always wanted to work with my hands. So one day I walked into the local union hall, and I said, I want to be a bricklayer. And they looked me up and down. They said, you're a little small to be a bricklayer. Why don't you be a tile guy?
Okay.
So I said, okay, didn't know that was the thing. And that was about 10 years ago. I was in the union for about 8 years.
Okay.
I got journeyman not too long afterward. Decided it'd just be best if I went on my own. The slamming and the grind wasn't exactly for me. I did just fine with it, but I enjoyed the detailed work, working at my own pace,
Hmm.
high end, just good quality is more for me, and that's what I get to offer to people now. So I
Nice.
like
Yeah,
it.
and I mean, coming from New York, obviously the union has a much bigger presence there than other areas. So it's nice that it's a good system to come up in because there's actual standards and practices to get you from day one to journeyman tile setter, and then you can kind of decide what you want to do from there, which is, you opted to leave the system and the safety of having, union protection and wages and retirement plans and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, America needs small businesses, and let's add to it, especially creative ones. There's not enough stuff happening where people are allowed to go out on a limb. And so it's nice to have small businesses doing that. How did you land on? I find names interesting, so I get where Crest came from, right? Because it's your first name and your last name combined. How did it become Tile and Mosaic? Like, did you knew from the beginning that you really wanted to have like mosaics and be doing like high end artsy stuff?
Well, I didn't. I didn't. So I played around with the idea. Like you said, yes, Crest is a play on my name. That was kind of a no-brainer from the beginning. It's what I always wanted to do. Whatever my business
Hmm.
would have been Crest. And it was just Crest tile. And some people are Crest tile and marble or tile and stone or custom tile. And it just rolled off my tongue one day, tile and mosaic.
Hmm.
And it wasn't even just custom mosaics. It was really just sheets of mosaic. It just kind of sounded nice. It had a
Okay.
nice ring to it, sounded a little bit different. And I wasn't even into the custom artwork at that time. So it wasn't on my radar, had no plan to doing kind of what I hope to do going forward. But it just rolled off the tongue and I played it with a couple people and they didn't mind. So I ran with it.
Okay. So you were just thinking about like sheets of mosaic at the time, and okay. So how did it become that you got into wanting to do like the custom art creation for mosaics?
Yeah, so even like back when I was in the union doing commercial work, I was following a couple people. There's Dragonfly Tile and Stone. They were in Milwaukee. They just moved to Nashville, and Tierra Tile up in Homer, Alaska. And I
Hmm.
was seeing the stuff that they do, and they make intricate inlays and custom mosaics. I mean, just I can't even start to talk about it. You just have to find it yourself. And I wanted to go out and see them, and then they put on a training 2 years ago in Milwaukee. It's the ART training, the Artisans Revolution in Tile. And they basically teach you how to design, market, fabricate, and install custom mosaic inlays
Okay.
in backsplashes, showers, floors, etc. And from there, it was just a game changer, absolute game changer. If you haven't heard of it, keep an eye out. If you're ever interested, by all means, I encourage anybody that's interested in stepping up their game in general to attend the training. And once I did that, it just changed my whole outlook on everything. I approach my work differently. Just everything needs to be just extremely quality.
Hmm.
All the details matter. And yeah, not that I didn't have it before, but it just kind of opened my eyes to just a whole other world. And
Makes you
just
look
living
at a
it every
lot of,
day.
yeah. Makes you look at a lot of things different when you start like eyeballing like on such a small scale everything, and me looking at how it matters, and then you apply that to the entire project. But just I, any training, any certification program out there, like if you're struggling and you feel stuck, I think just being able to go and interact with other professionals in your field that are looking to better themselves is going to rejuvenate you. It's just great to get around people that are like-minded and wanting to find another level to perform at. And so just being able to be around them will reinvigorate you and get you excited, and you'll go back with 100 different ideas minus the skill set you pick up along the way.
100%, 100%. And that was, the training in itself was just one thing, but I came out of there with almost a dozen new friends. And
Hmm.
I stay in contact with these people. They're from all over the country, and we talk almost weekly, some of us, and we're always picking ideas and sharing ideas. And I'll call them when I'm at a spot because I need an opinion. And it's just a great network. And I
Yeah,
wouldn't have done it if I didn't go out there and stick my neck out.
definitely.
So,
And
yeah.
well, you said so. You mentioned the company names. It's Lee and Jane Callywart and Joshua Nordstrom. If you do a search on your podcast platform of choice, they have been. Jane has been a guest. Joshua has been a guest. I want to say Lee was on there too. We had all three of them. Maybe it was an episode. I'm pretty sure. So they've been on. You can find them. We've chatted. We've had a great time, and there's always fun stuff in the backlog. I couldn't even tell you after over 5 years and 260 something episodes. I can't remember them all. I'm sorry. There's too many. There's a lot of content though, folks. Go back into the backlog and change your business. I promise you can do it. Um,
Well, that's what the search bar is for, right?
yes, there's a lot in there. Or just scroll through or listen from the beginning, and then you can at least hear me get better instead of worse. If you listen from now and you go backwards, I would be afraid to listen. But I think if you go the other way, you'll be like, hey, this isn't bad. Oh wow, it's so much better. Like, and I think I got better at least.
All
So
good.
how's the how's business going? What's the current clientele demographic kind of look like? Where are we looking to go with it? I think let's get started there, and then we can kind of start brainstorming for you of things we can do or manipulate to kind of help the business get where you want it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, work is good. Where I'm at, there seems to be plenty of work. And I started my business 3 years ago, and it was much harder than I thought to just start your own business. I thought I was just gonna get out there and all everybody's gonna line up to take me on, and it's a struggle, People
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know I existed. So I had to just get out there in the world. It took me 2 years to really get rolling. And it was frustrating for a while, but here I am. But most of my clients are, I'd say, middle class to upper middle class.
Okay.
It's just like me. And some of the work is just squares and rectangles. Sometimes people pick fancy handmade tile or just some fancy mosaic, sheet mosaic to install. But I mean, I've been busy this year, and I'm booked out through the year, and we're just looking at next year now, which is fantastic. And but I'm really just trying to get up to that next level. I really want to, you know, go from 2,000 square foot homes to 3,000 square foot homes. I want to try to get into some new builds where I'm not really on top of the customer so much as I used to be, where I'm sharing their home or I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking their kitchen over or taking their bathroom over for 2 weeks. And but I've always provided my clients with like fantastic service. Everybody's been very happy with what I do. Everybody seems to notice my attention to detail and how I
Mm-hmm.
don't skip any steps and how I really just leave their house in a good space. I always clean up after myself. So that's never been my issue or concern. But now where I'm at is I don't know anybody that services that market. I don't really know many contractors or designers. So a couple of
Okay.
weeks ago, it's just like, where am I going to find these people? How am I going to get there? Because I know I can provide them that service, but I just don't know how to reach them.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at.
Well, so I know what's worked for me and what I kind of like to do. So I have a couple of questions, right? Like you're talking like middle class, upper middle class, 2,000 square foot a home. Um, I like to start looking at, okay, this is my general demographic, right? And so it's upstate New York. The home values are probably slightly different for me at the time, and the home values have shifted because property values have gone up. But I was looking at like 400 to like $750,000 homes. That's kind of who my ideal target client was. They were married, had kids, probably drove pretty normal vehicles. There wasn't anything spectacular around, right? It was probably some kind of domestic or non luxury foreign model. Um, educated, probably college. Mom was staying home, even though she had a degree. She probably previously worked, but then had kids, So I think being able to you start identifying those little factors and you see what's consistent across the board, or you go and you start looking at a demographic, right? And it's okay, I want to go get into a $3 million home. Well, who owns $3 million homes, right? What do they look like? What kind of jobs do they have, right? Are they business owners? Are they high-end stockbrokers? Like, what are they, right? What are they doing? Where are they going? Start thinking about what kind of hobbies they have. And you pinpoint every detail you can think of down. And it's called building a client avatar, and then you can name it if you want. A lot of people will name it, right? So usually we build a female client avatar because they're the purchaser of what we do, and you can name her, right? Call her Susie, call her Jordan, call her whatever you want. But then you can start writing stories about it, right? And so you can figure out where she belongs, right? Is she hanging out at the local country club? Is she going down to like this very specific nail place that is in town? Like where her daily activities take her. And then you can start figuring out, okay, so now I know where they hang out, so I can hang out there, right? Can I position my truck there, get my logo in front of them? Can I find a way to advertise through the stores that they go to? And I think it's little things like that's where you're going to go and figure out how to meet them, right? You didn't know that you could meet Jane and Lee and Josh until you got online, and then you found these groups that they were in. But then because you enjoyed what they were doing, you probably found more groups that they were in and followed them there so you could see more of their content, right? And it's the same thing. Like, where are your clients hanging out? If you want to become a millionaire, you got to go hang out with millionaires and get that mindset. Well, where are they hanging out? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Then I'm going to if you put yourself in that situation, you're bound to like run into them and learn more. So I think that's where I would kind of start, is like dial in all of that stuff. And so that gets you that segment of it. But you had mentioned designers and builders. And you're like, I don't know any of them. Well, same thing, right? Who are the designers they're using, right? I'd start calling every designer in town. What kind of stuff are you doing? How you doing, right? I'm Chris. I do this kind of stuff. Can we get together? Can we have lunch? Talk to all of them, right? See what they're up to, what kind of homes and target like clientele that they have that's ideal for them. Build a relationship. And, we always want to work with people we know, like, and trust. So you go become their new best friend. And then all of a sudden it's, you got to use Chris. Chris is the man. But I think that's how I would start tackling that. Is cold calling sucks. But if you have a purpose, instead of being like, oh, hey, I'm Chris. And I just want to like, do you have any clients looking for a tile guy, or do you need a tile guy? And like, make it all about them. Hey, I found you. I saw some of your work on your website. I loved like this project you did. Can I take you to lunch and discuss that with you? Find a shower you love that the designer made. Take them to lunch. Ask them all about it. Make them feel like they're the biggest person in the world, and build an actual relationship based on it. Don't fake it. Like, don't take them out and bullshit them. But like, if you're genuinely interested and enjoy it, right, then go do that. And I think you can gain a lot by trying to start any relationship.
No, I agree 100%. And I mean, marketing has never been my strength, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that a lot of people that own their own flooring business would agree that we're good at other things and we can't be good at everything. So that's just kind of something that I've not quite tackled yet. But the latter, what you talked about, going out and meeting people, that's what's been working for me this year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest difference that's worked for me this year is networking. And I've met more people this year than I had in the last 5 years, and the people that I'm meeting are great. So, and you talk about approaching a designer. Well, there's a big high-end designer in my town, in my area, and I reached out to him over the summer and I said, hey, I've been following you for a while. You guys do good stuff, and I do some pretty cool stuff too. Can I come in and I can show you what I do? And they said, yeah, sure, let's set up a meeting, etc. Well, we did. I brought my koi fish with me. That's one of the custom mosaics I made.
Okay.
And as I brought it with me, I went down there. We oohed and awed over it. We talked about what I could do for them. We talked about what they could do for me. And then I didn't hear from them for a few months. Well, just last week they called me and they want to sit down and they want to take on another tile installer. And we met last week, and it was good. I'm kind of curious where it's going to
Okay.
go. We had a
Well,
great hour talk, and that's a great first step for us. It's
good.
either going to work or not, but we're going to find out. But I wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't have happened if I didn't pick up the phone and call them.
Hmm. I think my question is, when you didn't hear from them for months, why didn't you follow up? Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And
You're
I
right.
think
And this is part of my personality, Kyle. Is I just kind of feel like, yeah, maybe they're not interested. I'll just move on. And I do that a lot. When I first got in, I went to all the flooring stores and I handed out my cards and I
mhm.
signed up accounts and I said, hey, if you're looking for an installer, to get on your list, and they all said, oh yeah, sure. And again, I never followed up, and that's another thing
Yeah.
I should probably follow up because I see it.
It's well, it goes back to building relationships, right? One meeting doesn't make a relationship. One meeting is a meeting. And after that, like, I'm not top of mind with you. We don't hang out all the time. We don't talk, right? So I need to become your new best friend. I want to hang out with you. I want to get to know you. I want to be in your circle. So I need to put myself in your circle. I've told the story on the podcast before. There was one of the advertising teachers at the college I went to wanted a job in San Diego. He lived here in Phoenix. And it was with a big design firm that maybe he was a design teacher with advertising stuff, but whatever. He wanted a job at this firm, and they were like, "We're not hiring." He hopped on the plane every Monday morning, took the hour flight over to San Diego, sat in the office 8 hours, hop on a flight at night, come back, work the rest of the week. Next Monday, he was in that office. He did it for a year straight. Finally, the owner came out and he was like, all right, I'll give you 20 minutes. Sit down. Turned into like a much longer conversation than 20 minutes. But his dedication to showing up when he wasn't being paid, I want to be here. I want to work for you guys, right? And I think that's what it's going to take is we go out, we meet somebody, we exchange some business cards, and we're like, all right, I did my part. No, you didn't. You made an intro. Now let's follow up, right? We have to take it to the next level. And so, like, a lot of people go to networking meetings and like, I never get any referrals out of my networking meetings. And this is why a lot of people don't like BNI, is because they think it's too much work. So if you go join a BNI networking group, they want you to bring a referral a week. They want you to do one to one per week, which is like sitting down with another member from your group for like at least 30 minutes and conversing with them. You need to do like one continuing education unit a week, and you need to bring one potential new member a month. And fitting that all in, and then there's like the meeting every week for, I don't know, it's 90 minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot on top of on like what a business owner already has going on. And so, but the people that actually go and do the one-to-ones and sit down with somebody else from the group for 30 minutes a week, or they sit down with a couple people a week getting coffee or a lunch or dinner or something, they're the ones that get the referrals consistently, because they're out there hanging out with these people, making friendships, getting to know them, getting to know how they can help the other person, and they're starting to exchange everything. And so, yeah, intros are great. Handing a business card is great, but then what's the next step? It's follow up. It's consistency, right? I'm there. I'm here. Hey, I'm over here. Is there anything I can do for you? What do you need? How can I help? And I think that's what people are leaving off. It's not just about, I provide this service, hire me, right? What else are you bringing to the table that makes you special? Because I think that's another part of business, is that everyone's like, oh, I do the best work in town. And that's a given, right? You created a business within this specific industry, whether it's tile or flooring or plumbing, whatever it is. It's assumed you do quality work. Otherwise you wouldn't have a business, right? Like that's, everyone has to bring that to the table. Not that everybody does, but that's not what the consumer thinks. So now what are you doing beyond that for everybody? So do you have any special stuff you bring to the table for your clients?
Well, yeah, and that's one thing that you touch on your show all the time. I find it one of the most valuable things. And I mean, there's a term right there, but it's about adding value.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is it that you bring? Because everybody can stick tile to the wall, right? Anybody can make a tile stick to the wall, but what can you bring?
Yeah.
So, you know, I I like to think that it's an experience. It's not just me coming and installing your backsplash, you know. And I always tell people that, are you really just going to let anybody come into your home and come into your master bathroom and spend all that time in your bathroom that's like right next to your bedroom? How does that make you feel,
Mm-hmm.
And you should really trust somebody that is coming into your home, and everybody's always felt comfortable with me. But, I'm very knowledgeable. I have a lot of technical background that makes people comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I've wanted to do for some time now is offer an extended warranty. I just haven't put it in writing yet. And I know it's something you've talked about on your show
Yeah.
is having like a 5 year or like a lifetime warranty. And if we all do good work and the manufacturer is going to back up their stuff, but if we do things right, it should last 50 years. So
Yeah.
why aren't we just offering that to people? And all I need to do is write it up and have my attorney sign it off, and I'll be there. But
Yep.
I feel comfortable. People feel comfortable enough with me that when I tell them it's going to last, that it works. And
Mm-hmm.
I've really never had a hard time with anybody.
Yeah. I think bringing value to the table is a lot easier than what a lot of people think. It's you're talking about the warranty thing, and system warranties are great. Okay. Look, if you want to go with a company that offers some kind of system warranty when you're working with self-leveling products, shower products, hardwood products, and you like everything the company has to offer, cool, do it. But if you like product X and product Y and product Z and they all play nice together and it makes your life easier, I'm all for that. I Frankenstein the heck out of things, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, at least in the flooring world, installers get thrown under the bus so often. And in the tile world, I've seen companies, I feel they step up way more often and will help out even if there is installation error. But it's very common that the installer gets thrown under the bus. Oh, you screwed this up, whether it caused the failure or not, and they cut you off and tell you you're on your own. Well, okay. So at the end of the day, that means my word is my bond, and I'm putting myself on the line. So whether it's a 5-year warranty, a lifetime warranty, it's on me. I don't care about the system, right? That's an added bonus. Well, what's that really look like? Like if you track what your clients have going on, okay, let's say you have, you do a project a week, right? Whether it's a backsplash, a shower, whatever. Like we're going to average 50 projects in a year. Okay. What if we set aside 2% of the total revenue from every project? At the end of the year, we would have 2% of our overall revenue. Well, we'd have 2% from every project. At 50 projects, that's 100%. We should have enough money set aside for a complete project. So if our average project is 10 grand, we should have 10 grand laying around. Well, now me offering a warranty isn't a big deal, especially if I didn't have any failures that year. I've got 10 grand sitting there. But I now have the money that if I have a failure, I can go and be like, I don't need to call the insurance company. I can just back that up. Yeah, Mrs. Jones, I got you. We're going to order materials. We're going to start demo. And if you want to file an insurance claim, be my guest. But you've got money to get her started. You can deal with insurance on the back end and get reimbursed later. Well, but then you do it again the next year. You still don't have a failure, right? So you can sit there and figure out a failure rate. We're all human. Eventually, we're going to have something go wrong on us, and we're going to need to pull a little money out of the kitty. But how soon does that happen, right? And so you get 5, 6, 7 projects saved up in an account over years, and maybe you stop saving, but you can also make that money work for you. So now you've got money working for you. You've got peace of mind, your clients have peace of mind, you're offering a better warranty than everybody else, people are more likely to go with you. So if you're looking to compete with a higher end clientele, having something spectacular that nobody else is offering and being able to show them that you can back it up would be great. For higher end clientele, I'd be going in with a packet. I know like some larger remodeling companies will do it. They'll go in with a folder, right? It's got their logo on it, all this stuff. But even when people aren't asking for it, it has their insurance info in it. If your state requires licensing, it has their licensing info in it. If you have to carry a bond, it has their bond info in it. But for you, you could have, hey, look, I have this account set up. This backs all my projects. Here's $100K in a certificate of deposit. If anything ever goes wrong with your project, I'm going to go grab that money and we're going to open it up and we'll get everything replaced. So there's ways to change your presentation to make everything look more spectacular than just telling them like, yeah, I got a lifetime warranty. Okay. Well, what's that mean? Whose lifetime? This thing's lifetime. Even if I shut down the business, this money will continue to sit there in the name of the company until I disappear. Because you never needed the money before. So just pretend it's gone and you can meet your demise and maybe it's enough money that you can make your offspring's life significantly better. I don't know, right? Like, let's get creative with it. But I think that's how I would look at like one way of trying to build some value. Another way is again, I think everyone assumes that processes are the same, but how many people do you know that are tile setters that don't run some kind of dust contamination system? And it's go spend $600, $1,000 on a why can't I think of what they're called?
Air scrubber.
Yeah, an air scrubber. There you go. Go spend $600 or $1,000 on an air scrubber, and then talk about it in your literature that you leave with clients, like prospects, when you're trying to get them to decide to go with you. Right? No one else is doing that, and so you keeping their home, especially in a high end home, you get in a 3, 4, 5,000 square foot home. It's worth a couple $1 million. They've got some fine china in the room next door. They don't want to get in dirty. Tell them you're going to put an air scrubber out there running 24 hours a day, or, the 8 hours a day you're working and kicking up dust. They're going to love you for it. Right. I just had one of my mastermind clients on. He's got a cleaning lady he sends in. It's part of the bid, right? He builds it in. Now on a 5,000 square foot house, could you do that? Sure. You can get a quote for it and build it into the bid. Like, he's working on much smaller homes. So it's, I think it's like $150 or $200 he has to add to it. But you get a $5,000 project, going from 5,000 to 5,200 isn't a big deal. You tell them you got, a cleaning crew that comes in at the end, and they're like, they don't care about the difference. They're excited they don't have to clean the whole house. So I think just change, once you can start getting in how you, or even getting into their homes, right? Just changing how the business is presented makes a big difference, right? Because there's ho-hum everyday contractor, and then there's Crest Tile and Mosaic that's competing at a level so much higher that nobody else is even talking about the presentation and the way the service is done.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it is all about presentation, because I can go in there and talk till my face is blue. But there's something else about bringing the papers and all those things. Like that's like the plumbing company that came and did my boiler a few years ago. Yeah, they had the whole nice envelope, the whole folder with their name on it, had their COI in there and everything, the owner's business card, and then they sold us on the warranty package, which was pretty nice too. Right? So done. And I did the math and it worked out for me, so it's no worries. I don't think I lost it all on that one. But, that's something I've been thinking about for a while, but I just need to pull the trigger. I have brochures. I can just add another trifold or another piece of paper into that. What's the big deal, But I do use air scrubbers. Okay. I do collect all the dust I can for my own sake, right? So might as well just market it out there. It's not going to hurt. It's only going to help me. It's only going to make me more money.
That's the
I mean, I got
biggest
a nice
thing.
5-star review just by using an air scrubber in somebody's house. They were super thankful for it,
Yeah.
and it paid for itself.
It's something you do as a standard, and that even if it's something that should be standard across the board and everybody should be doing it, and I don't know, we'll take like trash removal, right? We dispose of all the trash. Advertising something like that will like blow people. Really, you'll get rid of all the trash from the project? Yes, all the trash we generate, we will dispose of. Like the it's so silly the things that you can like build value with when it's just like, oh, everybody does that. No, everybody doesn't. In fact, at the company I started under, if he sold the flooring, we would take away the boxes of flooring. If they provided their own flooring, we were told to leave them behind. How
Yeah, it's tough.
ridiculous is that? Right? Like
Yeah.
you provided your own flooring, so we opened them. We installed all the flooring, but we're going to leave this trash. I was like, this makes no sense to me. Like it's not any more effort for me to grab a stack of boxes and go to a dumpster and get rid of them. It was so silly to me. So I
Yeah, I
think
mean, I
even
couldn't leave
stuff
a
like that.
pile of garbage around. I mean, my boss would be mad me
Mm-hmm.
taking all that garbage. But there's not a chance in the world I could just leave a pile of boxes in somebody's home.
No,
And there's times where the dumpster leaves the job and there's a handful of stuff and it goes in my van and it comes with me because it's the
yeah,
right thing to do.
you just you leave it cleaner than you found it at somebody's home. But it was just like, it's little things like that. You could turn that into a marketing thing, and people would be like, really, you take it all with you? Oh wow, the last guy, he didn't take anything. So it's little stuff. I'm going to interrupt us real quick. We got a quick word from Utsen. Utsen has your floor installation needs covered with our extensive range of high quality products. Whether it's moisture mitigation system for concrete slabs, subfloor prep products, tile and stone installation systems, or our tooling, we have solutions for your project. We also provide expert guidance to help you choose the right solution, as well as technical support for your project. Learn more by visiting our website, social media, through our app, or contacting your local rep. That app is the most powerful thing you have. It has info on all of their products. It will tell you who your local rep is. It'll give you their phone number. It's got their self-level calculator on it. Download the Utsen app. It'll change your life, especially if you want to work with their products, which are top notch in my opinion. Nothing better on the market. Okay, Chris. So we're building value, and we're doing things that other people aren't doing. We are doing some things that other people are doing, and we're just making sure we talk about it, which I think is, again, so overlooked and underrated. Changing how you do it. You said you have a brochure you hand out. What's that about? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's a trifold. So when I go do a consultation, everybody's got business cards, but I've got a trifold.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a couple extra pictures, and it just has an idea of, kind of like what my business model is. It's nice and clean. My brand is nice and clean, and it has the surfaces that we offer, and it's nothing over the top. But I wish I didn't have 1,000 made because I could be adding my warranty and stuff into it now that we're talking about it. But I can always just slip a little extra thing in there. But it just adds a little bit more than a business card.
Mm-hmm.
And some people just keep that around a little bit more to give them something to look at. One thing that I do is I bring a like a picture book with me. It's like a portfolio, right? So
Love it.
everybody can look at pictures on my phone. But while I'm going and measuring, I can say I'm just going to leave this book with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got 6 months of my work in it, and it's all separated by backsplash and showers. And if they don't have an idea what tile they want, they go, "Oh, that looks nice. That's what we're looking for," kind of thing. And it keeps them busy. I get a lot of great feedback from
Yeah.
it, and I mean, there are deals online for these things all the time. You can get one made for super reasonable, and it's definitely helped me out along the way for sure.
I absolutely love that. I don't think it's done enough. I mean, that 20, 30 years ago, that's what all the contractors were having to do, right? You had to bring your lookbook, you had to bring your portfolio essentially, and print out all the photos and hand it to them. And here you go. Plus, I don't necessarily want the prospect following me around the house as I measure. So let me give them something to do while I'm off and doing it. One thing I would maybe change is I've thought about making like an a la carte menu, right? And so you can show them the shower, right? And they can be looking through and they can be flipping through for designs, but maybe there's a price list in there, right? So like, hey, you asked me about a 3x5 tub surround. Well, we can do that, but hey, if you want to add a basic shelf, it's just add 125, because basically a 3x5 is going to be X amount between this range and this range with these materials, right? So if you want to go with just the off the shelf from some company, it's this much. If you want a custom shelf made out of the tile, it's this price. You want a niche added, it's this price. You want a bench added, it's this price, right? Like you know how much material it's going to take and how much time it's going to take to add something like that. And so they can start seeing like, well, the shower's 5 and I love the bench and I love the niche. Like, okay, so that's going to make it 6. Otherwise they sit there, right? And you're consulting in the bathroom and they're like, yeah, we want to put a bench and we want to put this and we want, 5 shower heads and we need it to be a steamer at the same time. And then you come back and the quote's $15,000 and they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be $6,000. No, it's 15. And so being able to kind of have something that they can, you're not forcing the price issue, but they know in their head what it's going to be, right? And they can start kind of making decisions. And so you leave, you come back and, hey, we like this. And we were thinking about this and this and that. And it may be an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't have a price list per se, but those things come up all the time, and a similar kind of situation is, when I'll send out a price after a consultation and people get a little bit of sticker shock and they're like, that's a little more than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not really willing to give on my labor and those kind of things, but maybe you'll just have to go without the bench, or, maybe it's 2 shelves instead of 8 shelves, or, maybe you'll have to go without the little shaving shelf down there, 12 inches from the ground.
Yeah.
And that seems to work too. But, having the conversation up front does help a lot. I know a lot of people have success with price lists. I'm not sure where I'm at on it yet, so I haven't done it.
I think I was against it at one point. I've learned that like I have a rough range. When I was installing all the plastic floors, I knew that my average flooring cost $450 to $550 that I carried. And then I had learned that, a house with carpet and them buying flooring from me was going to be about, $11 to $13 a square foot. And if there was like all tile coming out, then it was closer to like $17 a square foot, right? So I was generally somewhere between $11 and $17 a square foot with $450 to $550 in product allowance included in that price. And then if it was half carpet, half tile, I knew it was going to be somewhere in the middle, right? It was like 13 to 15 or whatever. And I can ballpark it, right? You tell me it's 1,000 square feet. Cool. We're somewhere between 12.5 and, 15.5. Well, that's kind of a big range. Yeah, well, I don't have all the details yet, right? But I can do that over the phone. I don't have to come out and look. If that sounds good to you, I'm happy to come out. I can get you exact numbers. And I think that's the helpful part, right? Basically, okay, hey, if you give me a basic tub surround or you give me a 30 square foot backsplash and I'm not going to the ceiling on anything, it's a couple days work, I'm roughly this price. And I can put that on the website, or I can have that conversation on the phone and I can ballpark you, right? Let me dial this in roughly. And if that sounds good, we'll come out and figure out the exact stuff. And then they, that's when they throw you the curveball and you get there and you have the conversation and you're like, oh, well, we want glass on the backsplash. Well, that's more. We didn't talk about that, right? Now it's a different price. I ballparked you for this. And it's all communication. And you want to get into high-end clientele. That's the thing that's going to matter more than anything else, is over communicating absolutely everything. If I had a conversation with a high-end client, I would be following up with an email stating exactly what we talked about. That way there's some kind of record of it. And this is just good practice for anybody, but especially on high end stuff. Like, I don't want it to become he said, she said, I thought, I interpreted it this way. If you have a conversation and then you send an email stating this is what we talked about, if there's not clarity on both sides, they have no excuse to not email you back and saying, I understood it this way. And then you can work it out. And I think that's the difference between, you know, the guys that go into these big homes and have tons of issues with their projects and guys that aren't, is the way the communication happens, so that there's absolute clarity and nobody's questioning what's supposed to happen.
No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I like to think I do pretty well with communication. All the things that you're talking about, I do follow through with. But one thing also that I've been thinking about is there's a tile company in Wisconsin that I met at a trade show, and he offers like an on the side design package
Mm-hmm.
where, I'll go do a consult. I bring my graph paper. I do like the worst drawing possible for the room. And then I just give them some square footage and I email it to them and whatever.
Okay.
But what my friend does is he offers a design package, and you don't have to buy it, but I love it. You go in there, and he'll take all the measurements home, but he'll draw on maybe SketchUp or some other kind of program. He'll give them the draw. He'll give them all of the square footage measurements that they need to order,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll give them kind of like a rough layout. And it tells them literally everything they need to know for the project, everything they need to buy for their tile
Okay.
project.
Yeah.
And if you purchase that service from me or him, then you get all that, whether you want to go with me or not. And he has had extremely, just a ton of success with it. And it's something that I really want to try to put together too. Whereas,
I can see that.
and after you put all that time together, I mean, people are just going to feel good about that. That's something that you can do. I can just make all this stuff and make it look nice, and send it over to you. I mean, if I can do that, I mean, the tile work's got to be great, right? So,
Mm-hmm. I think it's showing organization. It's helping people, right? They may want to go with you, and honestly, their pocketbook may not be able to afford it, and so they may not trust the next guy as much to get it right, but they'll trust his work. Why, I don't know. And so you being able to tell them exactly what they need is perfect, right? Or even for DIYers, right? They don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they may want to attempt it on their own, and that's a great way to help them be successful, right? You have all the components needed now, no questions asked. It's up to you to use them correctly. But I think that's a great way to use your skills and get paid for it. There's no reason to be going out and doing what I would call a consultation, right? Free estimates. Everyone does free estimates. Yeah, I can do a free estimate from my couch. I don't need to drive out and see your house to give you an estimate. Tell me all about it, right? You got carpet, you got tile, you got a 3x5 tub surround. I can estimate that for my house. I don't need to drive out and see it. If I got to drive out and see it, that's a consultation. I'm using my expertise. I'm coming up with design ideas. I'm actually putting effort and thought into this project beyond the basics to get you a ballpark price. That's going to cost you. And so I like that. I think there's probably a lot of use, especially with higher end clientele, right? They may not want to necessarily pay like a designer fee to completely design something, but they'll want to get the specifics to really lock in, this is what we need for this project.
yeah, I mean, because it's hard, and we've all been there. I mean, if you don't charge for consultations or estimates, then you just kind of feel like you're just SOL at the end of it. Oh man, I put in all this time, I didn't even get paid for it, and I honestly don't charge for consultations. I mean, we can have this conversation all day, but
Yeah.
I am not sure that anybody in my market does it. I wasn't ready to stick my neck out and do it, but this seems like a good way to get paid to do a consult. And if
Mm-hmm.
they don't want it, then they can just have the good old estimate sent out via QuickBooks.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good differentiating factor, right? But again, it's building the value behind it. Here's what you get with X. Here's what you get with Y. You decide if it's worth it to you, and if they want to spend the couple $100, then cool. I'm more than happy to do it. You had mentioned we kind of talked about designers. We talked about like really tracking down like homeowners and trying to figure that out. You mentioned builders, and we haven't dug in there yet, so I want to hit on that a little bit. Do you know the builders that are building the homes you want to get into, or are you completely lost and you're just like, I want to do it, I just don't know, I have no idea who it is?
Well, no, I don't, but I'm also a little bit leery about working with builders. There's a lot of talk in my town about, whether they kind of pay what I'm looking for, kind of thing.
Hmm.
I won't know until I try, and I'm sure that there's a builder out there for me. But I mean, right now, Kyle, 99% of my business is direct to homeowner,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy, and I'm not opposed to working for a builder. But I have joined the Home Builder Association. I just
Okay.
need to go to all their dinners and breakfasts that I signed up for and paid for.
There
So
you go.
besides that, oh
See,
yeah.
it's getting out there, it's doing the work, and meeting the people and continuing to follow up all the time. I was gonna say, if you see a house being built, I would just stop in on the lot. Like, if it's in the middle of the day, you're driving somewhere, you got an extra 15 minutes, pull in the lot. Hey, is the GC here? Is the builder here? You try and get an introduction. Hey man, see your building. I'm a tile guy, just interested. Love to get to know you. Could I take you out to coffee sometime? And see what they're up to. I think you're right that there's a lot of builders that don't want to pay top end prices, but I think if you can find the right guy that's building, five, six, no more than 12 homes a year, he's probably a guy that takes it a little slower, wants quality, is dealing with the clientele that you're looking to get into, especially once you start getting into that size. Like, you're not going to throw up a 5,000 square foot home overnight. That's going to take a minute. Project's a little bit bigger, a little bit slower moving. And so you find some guys doing that kind of work and, have a couple lunches, couple meetings, you might find something. But I think that's how I'd try and approach it, is just drive around the area where that stuff's built and start picking up names, and maybe, swing by the office, swing by the job site, see what you can do to get a coffee or lunch or something scheduled and pick it up from there.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, the more people I meet, the more people that I can create opportunities with. But, I'm not going to know if that person's for me or not until I meet them.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's probably just a handful of people that appreciate the quality that I do, and they probably build quality homes that meet or exceed the quality of tile work that I do. And they might be pining for somebody like me, and they might have been searching for them, and, it might just all work out. I just have to find them, and I got to
Mm-hmm.
get out there. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem by any means, but it's just got to get up and do it.
It's time.
For the longest, for the first year, like I told you when we started here, for the first year, I just thought that the phone was just going to start ringing, and shame
Yeah.
on me, right? I mean, I can't be the only one that thought that too.
No,
And
you're
it's
not.
not even like I spent a money on marketing. It's not. That's not even the case. It was just getting out there, slapping business cards around, making it rain with business cards, meeting people, and now I just have really established a network. And I just need to establish just another network for
Correct.
builders in certain areas and all that kind of stuff, because that's what I believe in. It's all about networking.
That's it. I mean, again, it's who do you know that knows you, likes you, trusts you, and you got to get out and go build those relationships. And it's not a one-time meeting. It's going and following up and staying in touch and calling and remembering that it's his son Timmy's birthday, or that his son Timmy has his big ball game this weekend, and calling to see how it went. It's not, it can't, you could try and fake it, but you won't keep up very long, and it's going to be pretty obvious. You would, you made a comment that you wouldn't know if the builder was for you or not, but I think stopping by job sites might be a really good way to kind of know, right? If you really like clean job sites and projects, and you don't, you like it being organized and efficient, you start showing up on some new builds, and seeing how it's run and what the space as a whole looks like. You might be like, nah, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for me, because if it's run like that here, then what does that mean for the behind the scenes stuff? What's the rest of the business look like? I think that's, you can tell a lot by, like, I think people that have trailers and vans that are just torn apart probably don't have the best organizational system for their back end paperwork, right? It probably all
You talking about
goes
all
in
the
line.
paperwork on the dashboard, are you, Kyle?
No, that's definitely not. You know, you kind of, here you got. If you're watching the YouTube, here's my little blue bin, and there's all my paperwork cleanly organized in, Manila folders by month, and my
No,
trailer
see, you
looks
got
the
to do
same
better,
now.
Kyle. You got to put the stack of paperwork behind the computer where nobody can see it.
Oh no,
Okay.
I'll show it off.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's probably similar, right? Like if you're running clean job sites, you probably have a clean looking business for the most part. There's some organization there, right? It carries over. And if it's just kind of running amok, then everything else might be running amok in your life. And we all go through ebbs and flows. I mean, my house this week was a complete disaster. We had painters in here 4 days in a row, over Wednesday through Saturday. So that was an absolute mess. And my wife has been so kind to work hard and get our lives back in order, and I've helped. But those were tough days for me because I don't like not knowing where stuff is and having it organized. But
Oh,
no,
I
I
hear that.
think
I
you can
hear
probably
that.
learn a lot by visiting a job site or two of these builders and seeing, like, what's it look like, how's it run. Maybe you ask if they're not there, right, you can have a conversation with the other trades there. What do you think of them? What do you enjoy doing? One of this kind of goes back to working with homeowners, but especially working with higher end clientele. I loved asking the question, have you worked with other contractors in the past? And if so, what were your biggest complaints with them? Because they're going to tell you exactly what they did that pissed them off. So now just don't do those things.
That's right. Or just tell them you're going to do the complete opposite
Well, correct. Yeah,
and
no, I'm
follow
good.
through.
That's exactly it. But that was the point, was like, oh, they didn't communicate with you. I'm going to make sure that I over communicate with you. So if it's too much, you let me know. I will be here for you, right? Hey, they left the job site dirty every day. I guarantee you I'm going to clean up every day. And if it's not to your satisfaction, you let me know. And I will do better. But they'll tell you exactly what they didn't like. And I think that's, you want to go and work with people that are higher end, and generally they're probably going to be picky. It's okay. I love picky people, because once you show them you know what you're doing, they're not picky anymore. They just leave you alone.
That's right.
Just do it right. As long as you're doing it right, they don't care anymore, right? But if you show them that you're doing it wrong, ooh, they're the worst. They were going to be on you like a fly on some stink, and it'll drive you nuts. But it's because you failed. You didn't meet their expectations, and you told them you would. So, well,
I mean, you got to follow through. That's important, I mean, if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. And you shouldn't say something you can't follow through on.
Definitely.
And one thing that a friend of mine told me, because, we had a similar conversation a couple months ago. He lives in Washington State. And he said, people in high-end markets, they just need to be taken care of, right? You just got to take care of them. And I take care of everybody. I guess, I don't discriminate in that manner. No. But, you just have to be treated as such. And if you make them feel like they're being taken care of, then they'll be happy and satisfied.
Well, I think we like to, we're in the tile industry. We're creatives. We're blue collar workers, whatever, however you want to put it. We're in the home service industry. Home service. Go service people in their home. Right. And I think that's where it's lacking a lot is the bar is so low that when you show up at the time you told them you would show up at, and then actually deliver an estimate, whether on the spot or emailed, you've already walked over the bar because it's not very high. So to provide service at some level of keeping their home kind of clean and communicating about what you're going to accomplish in a day is above and beyond at this point, which is pathetic. But just from like that, you're 100% correct, right? People want service. They like to feel that they're special. They want to feel that, you're going out of your way for them. They want to feel they're getting what they paid for and more. It's not hard to do. You just got to go do
No,
it.
it's not hard to do at all. I mean, it's just clean it up after yourself. It's not too much to ask. I've had clients tell me to stop cleaning up. They're like, oh no, you've done enough. You got to go home. Don't worry about that. So no, I'm just gonna go get the Swiffer. Don't you worry about it. I'm just gonna Swiffer this whole place down, and I'll be out of here.
Hmm.
Don't you worry. And you just leave a good taste in their mouth. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's just good.
I think if you go do the work, you're going to be just fine, right? You know who to go talk to, you know who to go meet. You just need to go do it. You need to get out. You need to stop talking to me. You need to get out there. You need to get out there and
Easier
do
said.
it.
There we go. Boom. No, it's all good. Yeah, and I mean, I'm that guy that like bulls things over, and I want to kind of just have like the what's the proper process to do it, and it's just like, nah, Chris, just go do it, will
Hmm.
ya? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get out there and start something, even if it doesn't work the first time. Just get out there and try it.
That's
For the
exactly it.
longest time, I was afraid of failing, or looking embarrassed, or but
Hmm.
it's not that important anymore. Sitting at home, mulling over, it's not going to get it done. So just got to go get it
No,
done.
it's not, and it's I think that's the hardest step for everybody, right? Is I got to go do something new. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Well, okay, but taking that first step is going to make it easier. Get over it. Just go do it, and it's about just being able to go make an attempt. Right? It's not a failure. It's making the mistake so that you can do it better the next time.
Exactly.
If we could all go back to learning how to walk, I wish I knew what I was thinking at, like, 9 months old, a year old, as I was learning to walk. Cause this is what I always think about, right? You watch, like, I remember watching my kids learn how to walk. They wait for your reaction if they fall. And so if you make a big deal out of it, or like when kids get hurt, right? If you make a big deal out of it, they'll start crying and overreacting. But if you're just like, if you ignore it, they're just like, yeah, whatever, like, okay, they get up and they try again over and over and over again. And so where did we lose that? At like what age do you lose that ability to like just not forget about what just happened and get up and try again? And I think it's really interesting in human psychology of like something affects us along the way to where we get scared and we don't want to do it anymore. But we learned to walk just fine, and that was scary as hell because we kept falling on our butt and tipping over and couldn't handle it. I don't know. It's fascinating to me. So I think that's the point, right? Get out there, make an attempt. If it goes badly, oh well, fix it, right? Now at least you know what to fix so you can go do it better the next time. But if you're just going to sit and try and make it perfect, you're never going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen because you never made an attempt. So go make more
Literally
attempts.
doing nothing. It's
Hmm.
literally doing nothing, thinking about it. But it's funny you say that about the kids walking. But what kids aren't afraid of is failure, right? There's a lot of folks that just kind of, they don't want to fail, they don't want to look bad, they don't want to be embarrassed,
Hmm.
right? But listen, nobody's good at something the first time they do it, right? We all need to learn how to do stuff. That's why I tell my kids, I have two sons. And if you want to go play flag football or you want to try karate, you're not going to be good at it the first time, right? But you're going to learn every time you do it. You're going to get better every time you do
Yep.
it, and we all learn from our mistakes. And I'm far from perfect, right? So, but everything that I've learned is from making mistakes or seeing somebody else do it right, maybe.
Exactly. Love it. Anything we want to throw in on this, Chris? Anything we didn't hit on that you have a question about, or you're thinking about adding to make reaching higher end clientele possible?
No, I mean, we talked about end value and we talked about, leaving things behind. I really like the idea of like leaving gifts and things like that. That's been
Mhm.
discussed on the show. But I mean, I can't think of anything else that we need to talk about. I mean,
Okay.
it sounds like I need to stop talking to you and just go do it anyhow. So,
Yes, we'll finish the show, but and maybe you don't need to run out today. You got a couple hours on me, so I know. Spend the time with the family, but maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow we schedule an appointment. We go meet somebody, or we stop by a project, or we find a designer on the way home. Who knows what we do?
I'll be up at 5. So
Good for you.
yeah,
Bright and
man.
early, love it. Real
That's
go
right.
getter. What do you get in at 5 a.m.?
Well, I make my coffee. I usually sit down and read a book, or that's when I get to do my paperwork for my business and stuff. When I
Okay,
get home from work, when I get home at 5 o'clock, whatever it is, it's family time.
there you go.
And I take my hat off and I take my boots off, and it's family time till my kids go to bed.
Right
So
on.
if
Good
I
for
want to
you.
catch up on all that stuff, it happens at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, good for you. Way
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
it a priority and fit it into a schedule that works for everybody. I respect that. Very cool.
I'm
Uh,
trying.
if anybody wants to reach out to you, they want to talk, they want to learn more about your mosaics, because I don't think you can know enough mosaicists personally. Like, I am super excited to get moved and look at building remodeling whatever house my wife and I buy, and working on that for her. And I would love to do some cool things in it. So if people want to learn more about you, or have a conversation about different things you're offering in your business and things we talked about on the show, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally on Facebook. My business is on Facebook. It's Crest Tile and Mosaic Inc. And you can feel free to go to my website. It's cresttileandmosaic.com, all words. But I'm not too active on the groups, to be honest. I just kind of sit in the back, all those online groups. But if you want to learn more about, yeah, that custom mosaic work or anything like that, you can reach out to me. But if you are really interested, a good place to join on Facebook, it's called the Tile Trade Artisan Group, I believe is what it's called. And they talk more about just just the artistic side of tile.
Hmm.
It is an art, and that's actually it's my tagline for my business is tile is art. And we kind of gotten away from that. There's a lot of squares out there, and there's a lot of people not caring about what they do. And I think a lot of people that are listening are going to start watching at some point. They do care,
Yeah.
and I just hope that we get away from the box store installations back toward like handmade tile and just quality work.
I think as soon as there's a good enough labor pool to handle such stuff, we've got a chance. So it's on the listeners to develop the businesses that can trade how people who can change how people look at the trades. That's what's going to
100%.
matter, right? We got to build the businesses that bring respect back, instead of that it's just a commodity item, because it's not. It's truly not. And it doesn't matter what part of it you're doing, dude. I don't care if you're the guy doing the framing. I don't care if you're the guy doing the drywall or the stucco on the outside. Like, it's all art. It truly is. It takes a very unique skill set to be able to do it well. And so we need to build the businesses that let people do it well, correctly, and encourage the creativity in it. But all right, I think that's going to do it for us this week, everybody. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Definitely enjoyed the conversation. We've got a quick word from Tice. Listeners, it's nearing that time again. Time to remind you that the International Surface event is returning to Las Vegas January 28th through the 30th, 2025. Mark your calendars now. Whether you're installer, retailer, distributor, or serve in another capacity within our industry, Tice is a solid resource to expand your networking base, knowledge and networking base. I got this. I've only been reading it for like 6 months, guys. I'll get it right one of these times. You can also learn about the newest and industry leading products coming to market. Stay up to date with the International Surface event on Facebook, or by visiting their website, intlsurfaceevent.com. That's going to do it for us this week. Make sure you come back next week and listen to the episode. I guarantee you, no matter what episode you pick, there's always going to be a golden nugget for you to apply to your business. And it's not about listening to the whole thing and applying an entire system at once. It's about making the small little changes step by step, one at a time, and over a year, they're going to add up. If you've got questions, you want to reach out, flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.